We are going to present on short-term rentals. It's a pretty hot topic this day and age. You know, the rise of Airbnb, the rise of VRBO, some of the even like mid-term rental platforms. You know, they're all kind of a new way to invest in properties. So I don't have a ton of experience in this category. We do have one Airbnb, but my fiance manages it, so I'm pretty hands-off when it comes to that, unless something needs to be fixed, or somebody locks themselves out of the house and I gotta let them in the middle of the night. But with that said, I'm gonna go through just kind of general information up front, and then partner and our broker with Gravity, he actually has a handful of these things and has all his systems in place, knows how to run them, has a team behind them. So I'm going to let him get up and really do the expert talking. He'll go through kind of some of the stuff that he's done, and then we'll have some Q&A afterwards to get some more info. So just, you know, very brief, I'm Cody Drumell, partners in Gravity Real Estate Group and Gravity Property Management. Also run my own investment company here in the NRV. And started this group, I guess, about 6 months ago, or close to 6 months ago. And really our goal here is to bring real estate investors in the NRV together, learn together, do deals together, and you know, try and increase our wealth and our legacy at the same time. So we would go around the room, but we're mostly virtual tonight, so I think we can skip this slide. This is just legal information. Anybody that's here, we have to, you know, make sure that we say that it's not legal advice. Make sure you go to an accountant or financial advisor on any financial advice as well. And then if there's any video where you're featured or part of it, then you know this is kind of your disclaimer to let us know that you're not comfortable with it prior to it going up on any social media sites. So, what's a short-term rental? Short-term rental is a furnished vacation type rental property that obviously is leased out for the short term. Usually there's a platform involved that takes care of all the booking and you know, money collection, things along those lines. And you know, it's quicker turnover, there's a little bit more management involved, but you can also get higher profits at the same time. So, like I said, the platform, it really takes a lot off your plate when it comes to finding renters, managing the booking, communicating between them, payment as well, takes the payments, takes the fees out. It's supposed to take the taxes out for you and communicate that to your local treasurer or tax office, but we've had a few issues with that as well, at least in the county that we have ours in. But you know, some of the more popular ones, Airbnb, VRBO, Vacasa, FlipKey, which is not one that I've used or really even heard of, but there's a handful of them out there. Some have more users, some don't. But from running a management company, I can tell you, having a platform all in one that has all these systems in place is definitely helpful versus you trying to build them out yourself or having to manage all those different processes. So again, why do it? You know, in a lot of popular vacation travel areas, the daily rental rates are going to be much higher than what you're able to pull in as far as like a typical lease or even like a short to long term or mid to long term lease. It's a lot like a hotel. People are going to pay for convenience. People are going to pay for the experience. People are going to pay for, you know, just the amenities that come with being in a house versus being in a hotel or a motel or something along those lines. Okay. So again, you know, in the right areas, you know, they found on average the short-term rental rates can be anywhere from 3 to 5 to even 10 times what you're going to be able to pull in lease-wise long-term. That's really what makes this a profitable venture for somebody, and kind of the reason that you have that management-intensive property versus, you know, putting a long-term lease on it. But it does come with some caveats. You know, with the higher rental rate, you also have a little bit more turnover. You know, you've got cleaning, you've got things that you have to take into consideration. You know, kind of on a daily basis as people come in and out. but with the right processes in place and things like that, it's definitely manageable, which Austin will get into here shortly. So where does it work? We kind of, experienced this somewhat, but, found that obviously in anywhere that people vacation, convention centers, college towns, places that people come and stay, that, there's kind of a recurring reason. It's good, obviously they work well at the beach, but even there, there's seasonality to it. You can charge a lot more in the high season versus the low season. College towns are great because people are coming in and out kind of no matter what, whether it's graduation or football, basketball games, or their kids coming to look at the school, or parents are just coming to visit their kids, things along those lines. There's always people turning in and out. And then, anything with a good view, attractions, around Disney World, like, places that people are going to go visit frequently, activities, indoor weather, it's probably a good candidate for a short-term rental. So those are just things to keep in mind. Another thing is, definitely do some research. I think it's probably on one of these upcoming slides, but you want to make sure that the property that you have, you can command a high enough rent per night for it to make sense. And the same way with how many bedrooms are in the house, you want to make sure there's enough bedrooms there that you can really maximize the rental income on it. So, what kind of property? Anything can work, from a single family home to a townhouse to a condo, and they have tent on here, but I have seen boat rentals, which is pretty cool. They actually have like a boat in the harbor, and you can go in and sleep in the quarters, I guess you call them. But if you're attached or close to neighbors, you do need to kind of take into consideration some HOA rules, even the jurisdiction that the property's in. You want to make sure that it's not somewhere that's trying to push short-term rentals out or creating roadblocks for you to make this, a profitable venture. So the key is to do your research, find out what size and style property is most popular and profitable in a given market. You might even be able to, if there's nothing but 5 to 6 bedroom Airbnbs in an area, it might make sense to look at something smaller, a 2 to 3 bedroom. You could have a different market there for people that don't have, big family, something like that that's coming in. So we kind of talked about some of this stuff, but this slide is, what's the catch to this? So you obviously need to learn how to provide a clean, convenient, unique, and well-managed experience. Your turnover is a little bit more frequent than you would have in like a mid to long-term rental. You'll have, inspections and cleaning. There will be complaints. We've dealt with that quite a bit. Sometimes it makes you shake your head. Some of it's valid. You forgot to put paper towels in here or toilet paper or something, but the cabin that we have is on a creek, and sometimes we'll get calls. People say, when I have the porch light on and I open the front door, bugs get inside, like stuff like that. Somebody complained once about a dead bird in the yard, like we had some sort of control over that. And so there are things, people locking themselves out, things like that. But again, it comes down to your systems. It comes down to you having the right people in place that can take those calls in the middle of the night, or handymen that can run out and fix something if there's a problem. Also, something to look out for. 4.7 stars is the lowest acceptable rating you can have, I think, on any of these platforms. It takes a bit for you to get down to that, but it does keep the owner, on their toes, making sure that they're doing things the proper way, that, they're not just going to let the property fall neglected and people don't know that, the property doesn't match the pictures. That's really what that rating system's about. If something comes up and there's really somebody just giving you a hard time and it doesn't make any sense, Airbnb is usually pretty good about, listening to your side of the story as well. If you give them evidence that, the listing is what you say it was and they were just unsatisfied, a lot of times they'll take that down or adjust it somehow. So there's ways around people that are just trying to kind of screw you over at the same time. So we kind of talked about this too. Many jurisdictions right now are legislating short-term rentals out of existence. That's mostly due to complaints from neighboring homeowners, and something that I've just heard about recently, lobbying by the hotel industry. So obviously, a lot of things in our country are run by lobbyists and kind of backdoor, incentives and things along those lines. So similar to the gambling and casinos, the hotels aren't happy that somebody's come in and shaken up this industry, so they're pushing back on it. They're trying to push local jurisdictions to reconsider it. But with that said, there's still quite a few places that support it. They just want it done in the right manner. So you can still get these properties, run it the correct way, but you have to follow the rules. And they do have people watching, so it's not something you can really get around when it's online, an Airbnb like that. So you need to know the zoning laws, the tax structures. One thing to definitely look into is the hospitality tax. That's something that a lot of investors don't take into consideration whenever they're looking at a potential property, because those can be higher than your normal income tax and things along those lines. And then HOA restrictions and travel trends. That's kind of what we spoke about a minute ago with seasonality of certain markets and things like that. And then obviously pandemics can be a problem. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully we don't run into that again. But pandemics or things along those lines where travel shut down. There's other instances like that can really put a hurting on your income, and you want to obviously have a contingency plan for that. So again, pro tip. Stick to tourist destinations. Local economy is dependent on travel and tourism. That's going to help you get around a lot of that local jurisdiction, HOA, problems that you're seeing with a lot of places right now. If the economy is pretty heavy on tourism, they're going to want to do everything they can and provide the most amount of housing for people to come and stay and spend their money there. So that's a good way to look at it. But you also want to make sure that market's not oversaturated. So if you're looking online and there's a ton of Airbnbs that are available constantly, it might be a sign that, hey, I either need to find something that's going to be unique enough to stand out, or it might be better to try and find a different market or a different place. So how do I get started? This is kind of where I'm going to hand it off to Austin. Like I said, he's got a lot more experience in Airbnbs than I do, or just short-term rentals in general. Obviously, it says start with Airbnb. There are other platforms, but Airbnb is the most used. VRBO is good. It has its own set of kind of differences, when it comes to the people that are searching on there, whether good or bad. So I would suggest looking at a few of them, but Airbnb is a good place to start. Like we said, research the market in areas where you already like to travel. That's actually one of my fiance and I's goals, is to eventually have, it doesn't have to be an Airbnb, but some sort of property that we can either go to visit or run as an Airbnb in different countries that we like to visit. So we're currently on the tour to figure out where those want to be. It's a long-term goal, but it's kind of fun as well. So Airbnb has the biggest market, best tools, and is currently the best place to start with listing your property. So with that said, I'm going to hand this over to Austin. He's going to go over some of the properties he's done here in town, and also the systems and things that he's using to run it properly. So, thanks.
From that phone, can you see this screen very well, or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
should be good.
Yeah, and so to Cody's point, I've kind of done both, where I've got it for income generation, and then also I bought a house in upstate New York that had been in the family, and I fixed it up in Airbnb that, and then I go when I'm in town and Jamie stayed there. It's a super cool place, and so basically it's paying for itself, making some money, and then I've got it in the same thing like what Cody talked about, having a place where you vacation that's paying for itself. Got a free vacation. Am I on the screen? Or
Yeah, you're in there.
A little bit. All right. And so it is definitely a lot more management intensive. Like there's a lot more stuff that goes in the back end. And when I started with just one, it was a lot easier. We just had it on Airbnb. Either I would message or Katie, my assistant, and then I brought on an intern who's not going to be an agent. She's messaging everybody, basically putting the system in place where somebody books, they get an automatic message. say hello, here's some recommendations, yada yada, so they know we're interacting with them right away. But basically what I do, since I've got several of them, it was getting a lot to manage, so I started looking at some different platforms. And so this one is called Logify, which is a whole back-end management system. And as you can see, it's got like all 6 listings are right here. And so you can see like today we had 2 people checking in, and then it's gonna be pretty full. You know, like this girl is staying for a couple weeks in the studio. And I also like it because I want to get into the hotel industry. I want to get into the hospitality industry more so than owning long-term rentals, because I like that side of it and interacting with guests. Everybody's usually super nice. They take great care of the property. I haven't had really any bad experiences because they're held accountable with Airbnb and VRBO as well. Everybody's super nice, very appreciative of the properties. Like a couple of them have said that these are the nicest ones that they've stayed in. Because I renovated them all basically, and I made them all really nice. So,
and this is like, so the staggered ones, like you have your,
so like this.
'cause you have like a triplex, right? That you've got all 3.
So this is, there's 3 units in that one. Like this is a house in Blacksburg. This is a combination of these 2. That's why they're staggered like that.
I see.
So basically, if one of these 2 is booked, this one can't be booked.
Gotcha.
This one will only be available if both of these are open, and you can see these are people that just checked out in the last couple days. But the biggest thing that I found is making sure you've got a cleaner that can get in there and clean them right away. And when I've got 4 properties or whatever turning over the same day, like that can be a lot. So you got to make sure it's not just me cleaning them, obviously, but she's got a whole team. So she's got a bunch of women that are going in and cleaning them and making sure they're done. And stuff like making sure you've got 2 sets of sheets for a bed, 2 sets of like pillowcases, the like waterproof liners and all that stuff. So they go in, strip the beds, clean it, put the new stuff on, well that one's get cleaned, and then stock it. And I've got locked closets with supplies and everything in there, and we leave handwritten notes for every guest that goes in. So they go in, they got a handwritten note with a gift card to local, like Our Daily Bread is what they're giving them. And that actually started with my mom, because she's my property manager in New York. And she left the last person, like I can't remember what it was like donuts or something like that. The lady like messaged said, and my mom writes these notes, and the only reason I found out that she was doing that was because one day she was like calling me like 6 a.m. on a Saturday, and I'm like, Mom, what do you mean? She's like, oh, the people at the Airbnb can't get the TV to work. And I'm like, okay, well how do you know that? And she's like, oh, I wrote my phone number. And I said, okay, well stop doing that. And I don't know. And then it's like too much. But to that point, with her being my property manager, that's my cleaners here are the same way. So instead of me having to go through every time, or Bella or whoever, the cleaners are going through, they're touching everything. So they're seeing if something's broken or something's messed up, so they can tell me, and then I can get it fixed right away. But yeah, so anyway, figured these systems out, and when I got Logify, so if you're using just Airbnb, they have what's called dynamic pricing, which will fluctuate the prices, but it's not the best. And there's other pricing tools out there. And so I got the management piece down, and then we were messing with that, and that's great. But then we're like, okay, how do we figure out pricing? So then I started looking at these different pricing tools. And so this one will, okay, let's go into November. So you can see how these rates are all different. And it shows what's going to be low demand days, what's going to be higher demand, which ones are booked or like gray. And so this will, and also like if somebody wanted to book last minute, it'll remove the 2-night minimum that I have on there. Like if somebody's within a certain day, a 2 or 3 day window, it might make it just 1-night minimum. So because I want that booking more than I want 2 nights. And I've had several people doing that where I would have missed bookings had I not had this pricing tool.
Will it raise the price for that 1 night versus like?
It drops it actually.
Oh really?
But their price is expensive because they're paying $150 for a cleaning fee.
Right.
Plus, so even if the rate was normally $220, if you spread it across 2 nights, that's $440 plus the cleaning fee.
Yeah.
You know, you're $75 a night. But even if it drops, they're just paying $150 for one night.
Yeah.
And I've had several people do that. They'll book and then stay there 2 hours later just for 1 night because they're in town or whatever. And usually they don't shower there. They literally only have to do the sheets. So my cleaner charges will be less. But this pricing tool, you can see all of these kind of defaults we've got in here. But this will sync across all the platforms, which is what Logify does. So Logify controls Airbnb, VRBO, Google Vacations. So these are all Google too. If you were like Blacksburg, house or whatever, there's Google Vacations that people can book directly from Google. It'll take them to my website, and people can book through Lodgify. It created, I'll show you, Gravity. It allows you to create your own. I'm not the best at spelling. So you can see we've got a website where people can book directly through this website, and so I've got these statuses from doing it and getting good ratings and stuff. But let's just say they wanted to go to the house in New York, so they can go on here and they can book directly through here. And when they do it, they just pick these nights, whatever. It'll still add the cleaning fee and the taxes, but you're no longer paying the service charge that Airbnb does. And so one thing, we've got custom magnets that Katie was working on making that we're going to put on all the fridges to say, hey, if you're going to book again, we love you, just book direct and save 10%. It's not really going to benefit me as much as it's going to benefit them, because I'm still going to make the same amount of money. They're just going to save that Airbnb service fee. But then I also control that relationship with the client, because a lot of times people will continue to book over and over again. So it's like, why not control that? And then they're not going through Airbnb. Now they're just going directly through me. And what I found is, if people have a freshman or sophomore that's coming to tech, they're going to continue to come back multiple times throughout the year and continue to book with us, which is great. And so directing them here, putting the magnet on the fridge, how to book directly. I've also got another magnet that gives the rating system, and it says like, nothing's perfect, but the stay was really enjoyable, 5 stars. There was some real issues, 4 stars, like 3, and how to rate it. Just some little things, some signs and different things that we have in there.
Does Lodgify, do they create that website for you? Like when
Yeah,
you
they
sign up?
give you like a platform.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you basically just build it out however you want it
Gotcha.
to look.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and you can book directly on here. Okay, we want to stay in, I don't know why it's Blacksburg, whatever. So it'll do that, and then I've got this. And as far as finding out what good areas, so I like the ones in Blacksburg because it's easy. I can go there and check out them. Very convenient. But when in New York, I found if it wasn't like my mom or somebody that trusted doing it, it would prove a little bit more challenging. But I stayed in one in Salt Lake City, Utah, a month ago or whatever, and this girl had 18 of them. She was like 20 years old, and I'm like, how is she doing it? But she's just going inside the leases and having these big apartment buildings, then they're fine with her doing it. But she had the magnets and she had all the things where I got the ideas, and she has her systems down pat. But she's essentially going in and signing a lease for $2,000 a month, and then arbitrage trying to make $4,000 or whatever. She's going in and furnishing them.
Do you have to disclose that when you sign the lease? Like
I'm
that,
sure
this
she
is-
had more
this
to
is
see
my
about
plan. Yeah.
Yeah, just because she has so many, there's no way they wouldn't know.
Right.
And so this is AirDNA. This is a helpful tool where it'll show what's a good area to do it in. Like AirDNA takes data from all over it's one of the most data rich for Airbnbs and short-term rentals. You can see Stewart has a 97% rating. Danville. I mean, some of the areas where you wouldn't even think have very good ratings. Probably my guess is because there's not many there. But yeah, you can see these are like the hottest areas. And then I've also done a lot of research on which areas suck or have like, there's like the top 10 areas. And honestly, the top 10 are all in Hawaii. And then if you take them out, it's like Maine had like several of them. But yeah, it's all data you can all look up and see. But if it's like a vacation spot that you want to go to and you're like, I'm going to come here 3 times a year, so I'm going to buy something and fix it up, you just got to make sure you got a good manager. Because what I found too, walking through some of them, like a door handle will come loose. And we stayed in one a year ago in like Minneapolis or something. There was an apartment building. The person was definitely just Airbnb in some of the units. And like the door handle literally fell off. And I'm like, okay, so nobody's clearly came and walked through this. Like the filter's dirty. So like little things, like I've got with Lodgify, every time somebody books, it'll have like a property management tab or PM modules. Okay, well I don't know why this didn't work. But basically this is a separate app that the cleaners have. And every time somebody books, they'll get a notification on their phone that says, hey, there's this booking, and it'll give them a task that they've got to clean it that day. So it's totally automated. So Edith will say, oh, somebody's just checked in, I've got to clean this tomorrow, and then she just says task complete, and then I know it's been cleaned. I mean, Logify is great for, and you can, all the messaging will all come into one place too. So it's not from, VRBO and then gonna go to Airbnb and all that.
So you can set up, this isn't just for Airbnb, but you could do this across.
Yeah, it's got all, channel manager. Yeah, so it'll do all of them.
Oh, cool.
Booking.com, Expedia, and then also there's another one that I was looking at that's like Marriott Vacation Rentals. So you can actually book directly to the Marriott, but it's like super hard to get into.
Yeah.
You have to like have a bunch of units and like meet their standards. But so they're not synced on here, but you can sync calendars at least with any of them. The big one though, of course, is going to be Airbnb for sure. Right. And so on Airbnb, like some of the stuff, I've just been trying to tweak it and make sure I'm doing the best to try to do the best job possible. And like even photos, it's like you don't want to have too many photos. And right now it says 130 a night, but it's going to jack up as soon as I try to book something. But you only want to have so many photos. And I went through and did them. Okay, this is the living room. Here's what the kitchen looks like. And putting out all the pots and pans so people know, okay, this is what's available and I can cook there. And then laying out the bedrooms by, okay, there's 2 king bedroom suites in here so people know where they're going to be staying. And then creating the systems too for the cleaners, because if I don't tell them exactly, okay, this is how I want the towels laid out every single time, or this is like, it's a lot more stuff, but once you get the systems down, then it becomes a lot easier. I'm trying to think of what else I can talk about on here. And it's really, and I've even got a couple people that want me to start doing it for them, like Bruce is one of them.
Right.
Because it is a lot, and then you gotta figure, okay, the cleaner goes through and she's like, okay, we're low on toilet paper. Now somebody's gotta take the toilet paper out there. But that's why I've got Bella, that's kind of what she does, runs that kind of stuff out there. And the further out, because a lot of people will get one that's like just got incredible views, but it's in the middle of nowhere. And it's just a total, I've seen ones that people literally dig out like the side of a mountain, and it's literally like a big cave, but it's super like high-end luxury. And you're just thinking, okay, that's gonna take somebody 50 minutes for the cleaner to get there. So the cleaning fee is gonna be a little bit more. But people do them in high-demand areas like Blacksburg, or they'll do them just a total destination and experience. And a lot of times those ones are booked forever. Yeah. Like you can't even get into a lot of those. And that's when I might try to dabble in. And I've even Jamie seen me looking at some like way out that are just got incredible sweeping views. But then it presents a whole other problem of, okay, the cleaner's going to have to drive way out, or we're going to find a different cleaner. But I think a lot of it hinges on that cleaning, because I personally do not want to be going and cleaning them. I love interacting with the guests and messaging them, but I don't want to go clean them and change the sheets,
How much, so across Logify and your pricing tool, like how much are those systems costing you on average, you think?
Logify is probably costing maybe like $200 a month, and it's based on the amount of rentals, and you can also set it up so it might cost you very little. That's not
depending
that
on what you're using.
But you could also do like 1% of your bookings. Like they'll do it like a very low fee, but a percentage. Which to me, I'd rather pay the flat fee. And then the pricing tool is like based on mine, it's like $100. And then like if you want to pay for Airbnb, for like, I don't even have an account on here. I just have like basically the free one. But if you wanted to look up,
what do you think? What do you think your return is doing it this way versus if you were to rent those units out? Like on a long-term lease, you think it's like
substantial,
5 times more?
So the one at Nellie's Cave House in like the last 12 months, I think it did $60,000, and it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house that I maybe could rent for you're the property manager. How much can I rent it for?
Probably like
a small house.
1,300.
Yeah.
So 1,300 versus like $5,000.
Right.
Yeah, so it's pretty, and the expenses aren't that much. I mean, they're paying for the cleaning.
Right.
Actually, I'm making $50 on the cleaning. So really my expenses are internet, making sure that it's kept up.
Nice. Power.
So can you clarify, so the cleaning cost is variable based on how much cleaning has to be done?
Yeah, and
you may make or lose money depending on what you set?
Yeah, so New York, because my mom is my cleaner, and originally my cleaning fee was $200, and I'm like, I'm gonna drop it down to $150, but I'm still paying her $200. So, you know, but then I've seen a lot of the industry based on certain markets is going to all-in-one pricing. So they're basically getting rid of the cleaning fee and just doing it all in one. So they build it into their monthly price, which might prove a little bit of a challenge with the pricing tool, because the pricing tool, let me show you too how cool this pricing tool is. I never really went into this. This can pull hotel data, so you can see these are all the hotels in Blacksburg that I'm competing with, and it shows their nightly rates. So I don't even have to go to their websites. I can see what are they charging.
So so you're learning from the hotels are probably monitoring when Tech's having a parents' weekend.
Yep, these pricing tools are as well. So that, and then also, this will also monitor other Airbnbs. So like competing properties. And AirBnb will do the same exact thing. AirBnb will basically, you can go in and you can look at every single Airbnb that's listed through Airbnb. It'll go in there and it'll tell you what's the revenue that generated in the last 12 months. So you can look at, I can look up Cody's right now and be like, okay, Cody, this is how much you made. And I'd probably be pretty close. It's crazy how close it is, because they knew how much I made off Nelly's Cave.
Right.
It was a little bit under just because I've had bookings directly where they weren't through there. But it's scary how accurate it is. And it'll tell, like, you know, who's doing well, who's not. And then it's all about just optimizing, because Airbnb wants to see you getting clicks. It wants to see people looking at your stuff. It wants to see bookings. Like if you remain unbooked for an extended period, they're like, you suck, and they'll push you down. Right. So yeah, making sure price is right. But yeah, it's a science.
Is your Nelly's Cave property outside the town limits?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is Blacksburg, same thing with Play Street. It's just in the county line.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all about the jurisdiction.
Right.
There is a lot of people going in town limits though, for sure. I can see them. I mean, you can see them out here. They just haven't gotten cracked down because they're so overwhelmed with them. I mean, yeah.
And there's a certain rule too that if it's your home, you
Right.
can do it up to like 14 days a year or something like that.
If you're, but there's tons of people doing it. I mean, Zier said they're doing it in his house.
Yeah, the house that we sold to the guy who left. And
I mean, so you can
apparently he's getting notes though, because they were still sitting up to
Zier.
to his forwarding address.
But yeah, like look at right here. You can see all these are in Blacksburg. These are Airbnbs. This one's in. That's crazy. They really do this much revenue.
Oh, so that showed you revenue that year. Yeah, 233.
230. Wow. The 426.
There's no way that's the yearly, right?
Is
That's
that-
the value
is
of
that
the house,
total?
maybe.
No, that's saying the revenue. But it might have only been on here for a month, so they're just
Insane.
So
saying
they're
that
kind of,
it's,
it's kind of a projection.
yeah, because they're basically saying
That's
it's
79%.
For what period of time?
Yeah. The average daily rate's $2,000.
Yeah,
They probably only rent out for football games, and then they extrapolate that and say they can
They're
get this
saying,
every
like,
weekend.
Yeah, if you're doing this over the
So-
whole year.
Right.
yeah, but what I'm thinking is they probably only had it on there for 2 months, because this takes, if it's only been on there 2 months, it's like, okay, it's been booked 80% of the time of
Right.
those 2 months.
It takes it over the full 12
Yeah.
months. That would be a hell of a
Yeah, that's all.
revenue.
That house is
Yeah.
paid for itself in a year and a half.
You could buy 5 more of them.
So we're
Yeah.
gonna start Airbnb now
Right.
instead.
But the nicer they are, the better they do. Like, there's some, you
Gotta
know,
be short-term
everything,
rentals.
people will pay more for nicer stuff.
For sure.
But it's also a trick because you don't want to overprice it, because then it's, you don't get bookings. Also, this picture sucks. I don't know if you can
I'll
tell
be
they
honest,
It
they
does.
took this themselves. And it's like,
Right.
you should probably hire a photographer where you can see what.
Yeah,
what
if you're
he
charging
is.
$2K a night, hire a photographer to go in.
Yeah, like with all these, I mean, I paid somebody, he did a really good job, and yeah, so it looks good, and I took a lot of tips from other places.
What are some things that you've put into yours, like, I guess you could say amenity wise, or just like the setup that you've learned from other ones? Like I know, for instance, you had the one on Clay Street, you put up that divider
Yeah,
from
between
the porches in between it, because you said obviously people want their privacy.
I put fire pits in there too. I've got board games. Doing that like the gift card and handwritten note. A lot of times people just want to go there and they want it to be like a nice place, they want to be left alone. If they want to interact, they can. And what I find at Clay Street is they interact with each other.
Oh, really?
Like they'll go and meet their neighbors and stuff. And like, let me tour your side of this. But yeah, I mean, it's just a really nice, clean place that they can go and feel good. Because, like, I know when I go on vacation somewhere, where I stay dictates the whole trip. So I spend a little bit more to have a really nice place because that's like essentially your home, that's your home base. And that's what I want to give to people, like a nice, clean, safe place that they feel good going back to. And they know it's consistency too. Like every time they show up, the towels are going to be the same. They're clean. And I'm OCD. I'm like, I want the blinds halfway up open. Like it's very specific what I want the cleaners to do. And when they don't, they probably think I'm a dick. But I'm like, I've told you guys 5 times. Can we just raise the blinds? Like it's not that much to ask, I don't think. But the problem is she's got so many different cleaners. I've seen even Courtney told me, she said in an Airbnb that in the drawers the guy had pictures of how everything should be. Like how the cup should be.
Like in the
Wow.
Yeah, how the silverware should be.
That's attention to detail, right?
Labeling everything. And sometimes that is what you need to do, especially with like open shelves, because stuff gets moved. And also monitoring, okay, I lost 5 cups at this day. I've had people take like weird stuff. Like I had a $50 bath mat that somebody just took, and it wasn't even the person that booked. It was like one of her guests.
Yeah.
They spilled coffee on the bed, and they took the bath mat. It was a stone bath mat, and I'm like, whatever. She paid for it, so I mean they cleaned the coffee off the bed because I have the protectors on it. So everything's duvets, covers, and everything's easily cleaned, easily. And another thing is the photos are very important, but I didn't decorate this. I hired somebody to come in and stage it and decorate it and do all that, which cost a little bit, but it shows. It's so much nicer than if I had done it myself.
Yeah, just put furniture up.
But again, it's just I guess the whole point is this is way beyond just buying a piece of real estate. This is literally a separate business. And this was actually, I started Gravity Hospitality Group, which essentially operates all of these Airbnbs. Because it is a hospitality business, and ideally, if I got enough in Blacksburg that I could sell as a bundle based on income to somebody and then buy a hotel. Specifically, one downtown Blacksburg that I've been looking at forever.
I mean, there's something like 3, so.
Yeah, it's not even hard to figure out.
But I mean, to that point, like, it's a competitive market. The Airbnb market is. Like, you saw how many they pulled up on that map.
And that's why the repeat guests are very important.
you have to go above and beyond and like make sure you're doing things.
And giving them a good experience, and constantly improving and constantly doing stuff, and making sure that you are doing this. Let's see the reviews. So you can see like all the people that have stayed here, very happy, house is perfect. Repeat customer. Yeah, this lady has stayed like multiple times at different ones. And getting the superhost status, which you can see up here. Like that took me a while. It took me almost a full year just to get that.
What do you have to do for that? Like keep your rating high?
Yeah, and not have any cancellations. And they redo it every 3 months, like reevaluate it. But you have to have so many bookings, so much occupancy, so many reviews. Yeah, and then I've got the team on there, so Katie and Bella helping. You
have a cow yearbook at your New York house?
I don't know. That was something.
Yes, there's a whole cow folder, like album.
Is that?
Yeah.
Is the cow
Right,
like
right,
farm or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Your mom definitely put that out there.
Or my husband did it, because they're the ones with the cows.
Yeah, it's all the different cows and their names.
And their
all
names.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can see like this one. I mean, this one is just the farmhouse. And this is where all the cows are.
Nice.
They're all hanging out.
Which is pretty cool. Longhorns.
What do you do to screen the guests?
Airbnb does a pretty good job, I think. I mean, I haven't had anybody. The only time that I had an issue was actually at this house. There was 6 Hispanic guys staying there. Couldn't speak English at all. They weren't an issue. They were kind of messy. But the problem was their boss had booked it. So they had come from New Jersey or something. They were doing a construction project. So their boss booked it. They were staying there. Couldn't speak English. He thought he had booked an extra night, but he didn't. And I had somebody else coming in that day. And so all their crap was there. And my mom was there. They were getting pissed off. I'm like, just take your stuff, put it on the porch. I'll message a guy. I said, Katie, call this guy's office till he answers. She just kept calling. Finally got him. And they went back, and then apparently they showed right back up, and my mom felt bad for putting the stuff up there. And then they were like laughed. They thought it was hysterical that all their stuff was in the porch. And I would have been pissed. But they did super nice. But then they didn't know they still had to leave. And my sister was there also. She said, they just opened up beers and they're sitting on the porch drinking beers. And this is at like 2 o'clock and they got people coming at 3. And she's like, I was like, tell them they have to leave. She's like, no, Austin, I can't. I said, okay, get your phone out, type in Google Translator. I said, I'll do it. So I did it. And I said, I apologize, but you guys have to leave. We have people coming. And then she showed it to one of the guys, and he said, oh, sorry. And they just laughed immediately. But it's like weird stuff like that. You know?
You said can't go in the shower. Shut up.
So you actually rate your guests too after the stay. So the same way they rate your house, you rate them. So I don't know. Is there a threshold? Is there a threshold for like a renter that?
A lot of people won't book unless they have like so many.
Yeah, like same way with the house, like you go below 4.7.
Yeah. I think in Airbnb they can't just go cancel the profile and make a new one either because it's usually ID verified. So they want to keep up the rating because they want to keep frequenting stuff. But I mean, honestly, with Airbnb, they treat it like I've had people start laundry, like leave it perfectly clean. I met one lady and she had literally cleaned the whole place, done all the dishes, everything. The sheets just needed to be done. She's like, I'm sorry, I like to keep everything nice because I met her. She like when I was at the property, she came over to start talking to us. I was like, well, I'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, so just the only time I've had it has been when it wasn't the actual guest that booked, when they booked for their employees. But usually people are very respectful. They like it. They're like, this is somebody's home, or they treat it like that. But I mean, I enjoy it. And this New York one, I mean, this is nice because then I go up there and I stay.
Yeah.
And I've got a paid for house that's making me income. But it's a lot of just constantly tweaking and constantly trying to improve and get more bookings and what can you do better. And I think the people that take the business seriously are the ones that do better because Airbnb knows when you're constantly tweaking your listing and trying to improve it, so they rank you higher. And it's all about they want their guests to be happy to keep making bookings, so they want the host to do the best they can.
Do you get the same service with, was it Lodgify? Do they screen guests for you too?
So Lodgify is more so just the management. It's like the back end part.
Oh, got it.
The only thing they do is they will host the website where people will book directly through my website.
So folks wouldn't stumble across that website. You would have to direct them to it?
Right, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And the only way they would stumble across it is if they went through Google. Like if they were looking for a house for rent in Blacksburg.
Or like
And
type
they-
in Airbnb, Blacksburg.
Yeah, there's a lot of them on there if you looked at them.
And then you wouldn't get all the Airbnb guest ratings.
Right.
So you'd be taking your chances.
Yeah. Yeah, just like a hotel, I guess. But if they book right through our site, they have a security deposit. So they have a $300 hold on the card that's released 5 days after the checkout. And you've got all the insurance.
So they thought through that at some point.
Yeah. With Airbnb, there's no like hold, but there's a lot more back end insurance and stuff.
How does the insurance work? Are you paying a monthly fee for?
I think it's part of the service fee. I think Airbnb charges a very minimal to host. It's very front loaded on the guests. So like I think the guests they're probably paying like 10%. So somebody paid me $1,000. On top of that, they're going to have taxes. On top of that, they're going to have a 10% Airbnb service fee. So $100 goes right to Airbnb. And I think of that, or at least maybe it's of the 2% that comes from me, is included in that. Every booking has the same coverage.
So if that person had spilled on the bed, if you didn't have the waterproof,
Yeah, I can file a claim with Airbnb, send the pictures. They would say, just like an insurance company. And now you can even pay monthly for your booking. Not me, but as a guest, if you went in there and said, look, I want to book this extravagant vacation, but I can't pay for it right now. VRBO's been doing it. Airbnb just started doing it. They partnered with like a financing company. So you can go in and pay $100 a month for your vacation.
Oh, wow.
So you don't Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, so I still get paid, it's just they don't pay right away. And there's things with Airbnb where you can basically say, okay, you know, this, and you pick different refund policies too, and that will also impact your bookings. One of them on there is like, if you accept 10% less, you're guaranteed to get the money, the payout, if somebody books. So if somebody's booked $1,000 booking, if I say, you know, my policy says I'll accept 10% less, but a guaranteed payout no matter what, now I made 900, Airbnb is going to make that other 100, because 90% of the times they're going to continue the booking, 10% of the time, I guess it's just they're playing the odds, but they put that 10% buffer in there too, I've noticed that, depending on the policy. I haven't done booking.com really, and I know Expedia is more, they were saying international, but I just did an hour-and-a-half call with my account manager from Lodgify yesterday, because there's so much stuff in here that you can do. I mean, it's really pretty wild, the stuff that they can do. And it's like the top rated. It was between this one and Hostly or something like that. And I went back and forth between them, figuring out which one I want to use. But it's definitely a lot.
Definitely more convenient than going just straight through the app.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and this is, because it's got all of them, so all my VRBO stuff is on here, all my Airbnb, all the inbox is all synced in here. So like, the only thing with Lodgify is it looks like every message comes from me, where like Bella and Katie will message on Airbnb, which they'll show up in here. Like I can see this, where I didn't write this, you know, Bella might have wrote it. Yeah, so like this one, Bella said they could check it at 1. Like I didn't write this, Bella did. Because usually she's on it, messaging right away. And like, sometimes you do have to message them late at night. I've never had somebody get locked out. And just in case they did get locked out, I actually have a lockbox by the back door that has a spare key in it, so somebody could get in. But we can also lock with their phones.
Yeah, we ended up doing the keypad entry.
Yeah.
But the issue is with that, it locks the deadbolt, but it doesn't lock the
key.
the handle like
So if they lock that,
knob
they
key.
can still
So if they
lock
lock
the
the knob key and shut it, then they can't. They'll unlock the deadbolt, but they can't unlock it. So I'm like, well, the window in the back left corner is open. So
Yeah, that's one way to go. Yeah, because I only have the deadbolt. The other one's like a lever. So yeah, if that deadbolt, like if the battery's died in that lock, but I can send them an access thing right to their phone too, which I stayed at one in like Myrtle Beach before we bought down there. And the guy did that. He sent me a code to an app, and I just unlocked it with my phone every time. And then it would automatically shut off at a certain time too. So if the booking ends at 10, you can no longer access that door after 10 a.m. Yeah.
Sweet.
But
What's where we at on time?
We're there.
About an hour?
Yeah.
Perfect. Sweet, man, we appreciate it.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Little numbers.